Hi, I'm Jay, and today I'm going to show you how to blow out your in-ground sprinkler system. Yes, you can do this yourself. No, you don't have to call your sprinkler guy. Have you noticed that the pros' prices on blowing this stuff out have been going up, 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 like everything else? And now they're getting basically the proverbial arm and a leg to get your system blown out? Yeah, well, guess what, folks? It's only going up from there. This is the state that we're in right now. I'm going to make this real easy for you. I'm going to hold your hand every single step of the way. Get settled in. This is a long video, but you're going to see all the tips and tricks that I've learned over the years blowing your system out. Let's get started. Here's the water service entering the house. Comes up, main pipe over here, and right up here is where it tees off to go to the outside. And a lot of people think, okay, great, I'll shut the valve off and then we'll start blowing it out. Don't do that. What you want to do first, because you're shutting the system down, you've had it on all summer, it's been going, and if it's set properly, it likely has been going during the overnight hours or early morning hours, and you're not up then. So how do you know everything is working properly? So what we're going to do is test it first. The way we do that, let me open up my sprinkler box over here. I have 7 zones. There is no 8th zone. The 5th is rarely used, and when I use it manually. So what I'm going to do is take note of everything here, and where everything is, right on the mark, and then I'm going to raise that up to just 2 minutes so we can run each zone, including number 5, for 2 minutes. And after setting all those to 2 minutes, I press manual, it says all, and enter. Let's go outside. So in the bushes I have 2 sprinklers. I see the water dripping down, so it's hitting in the right area. Sprinkler here definitely spraying out. I have a drip irrigator for that plant. That's doing fine. Down here, yep, we got a head there and a head there. Those are doing well. Let's come over here and see. 3 more. 1 here, 1 there, and 1 in the corner. And you can clearly see those are all working fine. So now I just wait for the next zone to open up. Okay, head here, and it looks like I got a problem. Because there is a head here. There you can see the water. So this one is a problem. It's here. This one gets grown over and it's beat up, and I gotta replace it. I'll try digging at that with a screwdriver, see if I can get it working. But I know for next year that this head out by the curb is not working. Head here, head there, and head there for zone 3. Zone 3 is working great. Everything is nice. A little bit of air in the line, that happens from time to time. I want to just point something out. Nice bright blue sky, nice sunny day. It's about 60 degrees out, 65 degrees out. This is the time that you want to blow these out. This is going to take you a considerable amount of time. Could be an hour to an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours to blow your system out. But hey, you're saving quite a bit of money in doing it yourself. You know, calculate what your average hourly rate is that you get paid at work. That 200 bucks, it's going to take you a number of hours to make that. So, with that being said, settle in here and do this on a nice Saturday when it's nice weather. Shut them down early. You don't need it to be watered clear into November, depending of course on where you live in that and what area. But do it on a nice day. It's just going to make it so much more pleasurable to be outside on one of the last nice warm days of the year. Yes, I do have to mow. That'll be an upcoming little project there. But for now we got to get these blown out because the days are getting colder. So let's wait for zone 4. And here's zone 4. We got a head here and a head here. Yeah, it's hard to see, but it's definitely blowing out. Water, they're good. So let's wait for zone 5. Here we go with zone 5. 1 head, 2 heads. That one's leaking, as you can see. And it's also got a lot of stuff growing on top of it. That's why you should actually check your sprinklers periodically. You can see this is kind of why I don't use this zone too much. And the last head out by the curb here, which also is completely overgrown, but like I said, the only time the zone is used is manually when I don't have the car there. So at least we know that this zone is working as well. I hear the sprinklers. There we go. We got a head there for zone 6. We have a head over here, which it looks like the plants are growing into. That'll be a problem for next year. And a head over here. So zone 6 is good. 1 more to go. And zone 7. There we go. 1 there. 1 there. 1 against the fence. Yes, indeed, that's firing there. And 1 more back over here, which is this guy right over here. So that's working as well. And looks to be leaking nicely also. Let's go back to that head on zone 2 that wasn't popping up. So we're just going to get a flat blade screwdriver and just pry here and see. There he goes. See, like that? Problem is, see all this here? That's sand. Soil here is all sand, and those little particles of sand get caught in there, exacerbated by the fact that this is the street, so a lot of sand and dirt from there gets kicked up. So okay, we're good to go, so let's start blowing this out. Okay, next order of business, now that we've tested everything, is to finally turn it off. So here's the shut-off valve. The way it works, when the handle is in line with the pipe, it's on, and when it's 90 degrees to it, it's off. On this system, you will notice there's a little petcock there. So now we're going to go outside and open up the faucet that I have on my system so we could administer air into that. And deep within the bushes we see 2 spigots here. The one on the right is original to the house for the hose. This one is for the sprinkler system. You can see it comes out of the house and goes down into the ground into the sprinkler boxes there. We're going to open this up. We're going to need it open anyways. So turn it on all the way. This valve pops for some reason when it opens. I don't know why, but it works fine. So we just leave it. And you saw a few drops of water come out. That's good. Air can now enter in there, go in the house, down out that petcock. So now we're going to drain that. So get a bucket in there and unscrew that petcock. It's got a hole in it, so you just need to unscrew it a bit and it'll start dripping out. There you go. So you can see that all drain out there. When that's done, make sure you tighten that back up, and then we're going to go ahead and actually blow the system out. So now we'll move on to the tools you're going to need. You're going to need an air compressor. I have 3 here. A 3-gallon, a 1-gallon, and a half-gallon. If you have any of these, this job is not for you. You want a decently sized compressor. I've seen people do this with a 6-gallon compressor, but really you're looking more like 20. Really what it comes down to is how long you want to be standing outside doing this job. You're going to blow out each zone 2 times, maybe 3 depending, and you have to wait for your compressor to recharge between. It's going to take a long time, and there's not much air that these compressors are going to hold. So back in the depths there in the back of the garage, I have a total of 22 gallons. That's 15 gallons plus an additional 7-gallon tank on top of that. That's going to do the job nicely. Once you get that and you get your air line, you need to find a way to interface that to your sprinkler system. What I have here is a washing machine fill hose. I made this adapter myself. You might be able to find these for sale online. I think you can nowadays. Back in the day when I started doing this some 15 years ago, these things weren't around really. Nowadays you could buy anything on that Jungle website out there. So what I did was I got 2 air fittings that screw together. This one here is a male thread, female thread here if we can even say that these days. And it looks like this at the other end of it. Jammed it in the hose, put a hose clamp on it, and there is the type of thing you'd see for your standard garden hose, which that spigot will take. Now, you can get away with this and use that valve, that spigot valve on there if you want, but I'm going to make things a lot easier. I have two other things here. These all go in line with this, and that's a valve that I can operate just like that. So I can turn the air on and off right from here. Makes it a lot easier instead of standing in those bushes. This is called a regulator. Let's talk about the pressure you need to blow out the system. You're going to find people all over the place, and they're going to tell you all different things. Never exceed 30. Don't go any more than 40 under any circumstances, or you'll blow your system up. I've been doing 60 for years, and it's been fine. Oh, well, I'll tell you what I do. I give it full chooch, full boat, the entire pressure that the compressor will produce. I have never had a problem, but if you do that, and you have this plugged in, and you say, okay, let's blow it out, you're going to blow something up. So you have to turn this valve slow. If you do it quick, you definitely stand the chance of damaging something. So you turn it on slow, like that, and you're okay. The regulator your air compressor already has. The reason this is here, I don't use the regulator part of it, I use the gauge part of it, because that lets me know when the compressor has refilled. It's that simple. So we're just going to put that in line first, so it always has pressure, then the valve, and then the blowout tool. So now it looks like this. Air is going to go in here. This gauge is going to show how much air I have, but the air stops at the valve. I turn that on slow, air continues around the loop, blows into the spigot, and then out through the sprinklers after you turn the appropriate zone on. Let's talk about why you have to do this, what the deal is with it. You want to blow this out because people talk about burst pipes, broken pipes, stuff like that. If you have maybe a cabin in the woods or something like that, and you're not there during the winter, a lot of people get the cabin's plumbing blown out, because if you have a pipe burst there, you're going to have a huge flood, huge mess, thousands upon thousands of dollars. Now with the sprinkler system, it's in the lawn, so it's not that big of a deal, but you still want to protect your investment because you spent a fortune getting it installed. So we have to think back to physics class. That's a class, that science class, that was all math that pretty much everybody flunked out. Basically, the cool part of physics, how the world actually works, is what's in play here. We all know that when water freezes, it expands. Now, let's think of this hose as a pipe in your house. I know it's bent, but make believe. So if this pipe has city water pressure on it, 60, 80 pounds, whatever it is that your city provides, or your well pump, or what have you, the entire thing is filled with water. That's to say, when you turn the faucet on, you don't get coming out of there, you just get straight water. The entire thing is filled from top to bottom with water. With the pressure behind it, and then being stopped at the faucet, that water has nowhere to go. Then it gets really, really cold out, and the water inside the pipe in one area starts to freeze. Well, it can't go this way because there's water pressure on that. It can't go out the faucet because that's closed off. So the only way it can go is out, and that's why your pipes burst. So in blowing this out, the idea is to get as much of the water out as possible. It is impossible to get all of the water out, but try your absolute best is all you can really do. That way, if you think about it, if you were to have this here, and there was only, imagine if this were like a storm drain where it drains into a stream or something like that. You have that huge, big, like concrete looking thing, and just that little river of water at the bottom of it. But the whole volume of it is empty. It's all air there. So if that little river, if it gets so cold that that little river freezes, what's going to happen to this big pipe? Nothing. It'll be perfectly fine. So if you just have a little river of water at the very bottom of the pipe in there, and that freezes, it has the entire diameter of this to expand. It goes everywhere. Plus, remember that at the end of each zone are your sprinkler heads, and those are always open to the atmosphere. There are some that have check valves in them and that, but for the most part, those are open to the atmosphere, so water can even expand that way. So blowing them out, getting most of the water out, is what you need to do, because that way if it does freeze, it's not going to pose any sort of problem. It won't break or burst the pipes. So now let's get everything hooked up and we'll start actually blowing this out. Okay, you can see that we have pressure in the line, but it's off. So this is coming from my compressor. This is just a short hose that goes here and eventually plugs into the black hose, which is connected to the spigot back there, which is still turned on. Everything is ready to go. Now you have to open up the various zones. You can open up these green control boxes there and you'll find the sprinkler valves in there, and you can turn the solenoid on that. I don't like doing that because then you disrupt seals, and if it's not tightened down all the way, and it turns out to be a big mess. So I like to do it electrically with the actual controller for the system. Let's head back downstairs and go do it. Everybody's sprinkler timer is different, so it's very hard for me to tell you exactly what you need to do to put a particular zone on. This is an old-fashioned one, which has got them sliders on it, and it makes it real easy, because over here you see manual off, manual on. All I have to do is raise zone 1 to manual on, and the display says zone 1 is on. That's all there is to it. Now, of course, no water is flowing, because remember, we turned that off before and tightened up that petcock there. So now we'll go outside, and now we can send air through the system instead of water. This is it, the point of no return, the time to blow out the sprinklers. So now we're going to turn this valve on, which is going to send air down and through the system as if it were water, effectively blowing out all the water in the lines. Remember what I told you before, slowly. Do not click that right on. So we'll go ahead, turns this way. See that head popped up? And I'm working my way to full on. There we go. You can hear air in that one. Now that one's getting air. This is still bubbling out a little bit. No air here yet. We've got air further down the line. There he goes. Now it's getting air. This one in here is going. And further down here, that's got all the water past that mostly. See this mist here? You'll see this when the sun comes down at the right angle. That is what you're trying to get rid of. The mist is water. That means there's water still in the line. Now what you heard is this one is starting to pop down because the pressure of air isn't as much anymore. So everything is kind of dying out over here. So at this point, it's safe to shut it off. And as we make our way back, we're just hearing air mostly. Any little gurgles are water. Shut it off. You may hear my compressor running in the background. That needle's got to get up to somewhere around a few times or whatever it does. It's got to get up to where it usually does, and then we're ready to blast that a second time. Okay, we filled back up and we're ready to blast for zone 2. For my system, my compressor, my setup, it took approximately 5 minutes for the tank to refill. We're doing it twice each zone, so 5 times 2 is 10, 7 zones, 70 minutes, plus another minute or two, we'll say 2 minutes of actual blowing time through the particular zones, and we'll add another 15 minutes on to be generous like that. So 85 minutes, call it an hour and a half to blow the system out. But then again, remember, like I said, if you're going to pay $200 for your system to be blown out, if you can spend an hour and a half of your time, you probably can't make that kind of money in that amount of time. Enough chit chat, let's blow this out again. Remember, slow. And we're hearing mostly air. Just air, 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 air. Little bit of mist and some droplets of water. Now that could be blown off the grass as possible. There's one at the end. See, that still does have a little mist coming out. It's leaking from the seal on it as well. It also gets stuck. That needs replacement as well. But it's pretty much all air. And just those little droplets of water. So you want to get out just as much as possible. I'm satisfied with it like that. If you're not, you can blow it out a third time and keep going as many times as you want. Now we're going to shut that off, let the air tank refill, and go on to the next zone. Alright, we're done with zone 1, so we'll put that to manual off. Give that a second just to clear. Now zone 2, all the way on. It says zone 2, and now we're going to head outside. I'm also going to take this bag with this brass adapter in it, which will come into play after we're done blowing out all of the sprinkler zones, so stay tuned for that. Okay, zone 2 is on. We're ready to go, so we'll hit the valve nice and slow. And there, that's full on. And we even got this one by the curb up. There we go. Even a nice rainbow for the show. You can hear the air, and most of what you see, of course, is mist. Like that. We have to let all of that mist get out of here. You can see less and less as time goes on. This one also, a lot more air and a lot less water, which is a great thing. These are still going. Incidentally, you may hear the sprinkler gods sing. That sound is normal. Do not be alarmed by it. It's the sound of saving money. It's a good sound. Doesn't hurt anything. Don't worry about it. Okay, those heads just pop back down, so we're pretty much out of pressure. I'm going to shut this off now. You can just shut it right off and let the tank refill. Zone 2, second blast. Slow. You will sometimes get this where the heads won't pop up. That's okay. Every now and again, a little tuft of mist, if you will. But looking pretty good there. Nothing much to speak of over here. Couple little drops. That's all fine. That's what you want to see. Once you get it to this point, you can be pretty sure that you've gotten most enough of the air out, most enough of the water out, and you're ready to move on. So it's rinse and repeat for the next 5 zones. Shut that off. I now have a helper who's going to shut off zone 2, turn on zone 3 for me, so I don't have to keep running up and down the stairs to the basement. In the meantime, I'll let this refill. Zone 3, first blast. Slow. Right here. And right there. And right there. Looking good. Looking good. Oh no, my air hose got wet. The entire video is ruined now. You'll have to deal with the little hazards that sometimes happen. But anyway, that's looking good. See how we got most of the water out? And we just have that mist. We're working that out. Down in this neck of the woods over here. This guy, just blowing the blades of grass, nothing to speak of. This guy over here, you can see this is missing the top. All these heads are old and broken-y, but they work. Yeah, it's looking pretty good right there. I'm pretty happy with that. Each zone is a little bit different when you blow it out. We still got a little bit here. I'm going to leave this for a few more seconds. I think that's about close enough. Shut it off. It will pop down, and then we'll hit it for the next blast. Remember, when we do, they may not pop back up, but that's okay. Remember, like I said, they're still open to the atmosphere. Okay, let's hit this for the next blast. Turn that valve on slow. And just that water there, these guys out in the Garden of Eden is nothing. Couple little drippy drops there, but otherwise looking great. Give that just another moment or so. We'll shut the air off, open up zone 4 and blow that out. Okay, time for zone 4. Zone 4 is a little weird on this system. Turn that valve on slow. I hear air. I'm hearing water. We'll continue turning the valve on. We're good. We'll head over this way, and here we are. There we go. You can see these great. What's funny is this zone takes a much longer time to blow out, and it's actually the shortest run from the control box. We still have a lot of mist coming out, and of course here you can see all of that. It's mostly water here still. Now it's got some air. And some more water. And some air. So we gotta wait and let that do its thing. Looks like this is going to be a little bit yet. Like I said, this zone is funny because it's the shortest run, yet takes the longest amount of time to blow out. It's very odd. So you'll get to know your system as you do it, but this is not acceptable at this point. We got to still keep blowing here. So I'll come back when we're ready for the second blast. Okay, zone 4, second blast. Once again, slow. There we are. Let's take a look. That's definitely a lot better. Still popped up. Nothing really to speak of. A couple little bits here and there. We'll just let it blow out, and that should be satisfactory for zone 4. We'll shut the air, switch to zone 5, and blow that out. Zone 5, first blast. Slow. There we go. You can hear it. It's blowing out. That's blowing out. Free car wash, that's good. and the end as well. Now we got some air, and some air here finally. And you heard my compressor just kick back on. We have to get all of this mist out. Doing all right. So we'll give that another minute or so, shut it off, let the tank refill, and go for the second blast. Zone 5, second blast. Turn that valve slow. Whatever you do, make sure you do it slow every single time. There we go. We'll head out to the street. Look at that one. That's the farthest head on this zone. That much I know. And yeah, we got, you know, whatever water puddled around it and that. It's bubbling up. Same kind of idea over here. And this one, there was enough pressure to actually pop it. And we have just air. That's a great thing. So we'll give that another minute just to be extra sure. Shut that down and go to zone 6. Okay, we're all set to go for zone 6. Zone 6 is in the backyard, but remember, stay tuned because I'm going to show you about this adapter after we're done blowing out the zones. So let's go ahead and turn this on. I'll hit this and then I'll have to run into the backyard to show you what's going on. Nice and slow, off to the backyard. Looking good. That's air, that's air. And air there. Ooh, loud. Very good. Right time of day with the sun coming at the right angle, you could really see that. This is the shortest run on this zone. And that's still got some, but this is one of the longer zones because it goes all the way to the backyard. You can see the mist right there from this head. And some more here. It's doing what it can. You just leave it, let it get that mist out, shut it, and blast it a second time. Zone 6, second blast. Nice and slow. Let's go to the back. That's what I like to see. No water. Or very, very little. Take a look. Not much at all. And that's why I like to do each zone twice. Still a little bit here though. So that's got to go. And like I said earlier, your longer zones you may wish to do a third time depending on your property. Looking good here as well. So really we're just left with a couple little bits and pieces here. Within another minute or so, that should all be out. Remember, the goal is to get as much water as you can. You can't get it all. Zone 7, also in the backyard. Turn it on nice and slow. All right, let's head to the back. This is the farthest head on the zone. And now it's getting air. That, of course, has air. That's getting air. And back over here is getting air also. It's kind of odd how they plumbed this. This is zone 7, but if you remember zone 6, back over here, was that other head that sticks way up out of the ground. Why not? It's in line, you know? Doesn't it just make sense? I don't know. That's how it was done. I guess they figure it's not their house, you know. Looking good. That one got lost. Give that another minute, shut her down, hit her a second time. Zone 7, second blast. Nice and slow. I think we're pretty good. There's just whatever puddle of water coming up. Right there, nothing. Back here, again, just a little puddle around it. Nothing to speak of. Looks good. Let's shut it down and then disconnect it, and I'll show you what else to do. So to finish up outside, I turn this valve off. Okay, and this one here as well. That just stops the flow of water through the sprinkler system, but still allows this to be used as a hose spigot. But I have one right here anyway. So that's that. Let's go to the timer now. I'll show you how to shut that. So there's zone 7 still on. We'll put that to manual off. And now what I'm going to do is turn my main switch off. This one, I can't go right to off. It doesn't turn that way, so I got to go all the way around to off like that. And I'm going to reset these back to where they were so they're in the right position for next year. This way I don't forget. As far as the sprinkler timer, the time and all that, leave it plugged in year-round, because if you unplug it, it stands a chance of the batteries in it going dead, it's losing its program, and then you got to reprogram the whole thing. If you leave it plugged in and just change the batteries on a regular basis, you can keep your program in there so it does not need to be reprogrammed. Nice and easy like that. So with that, you can close that up and you're done with your sprinklers, but you're not done with your air. Let me show you. While you have your air hose still out and your compressor still charged up, did you know that 94.29738% of garden hose failures occur over the winter? That's because water is left in them and it freezes, and then something hits it, or you have to get by it, you hit it with a snow shovel, the entire thing is frozen, crack, and that breaks the whole hose. So while you're at it, blow it out with your air. Now I got a small problem here because my adapter is female, and here's the garden hose, also female, and we learned this in biology that doesn't work, but fortunately they make adapters, and that's what I have in this bag over here. So once I get that out, we can now adapt these and couple them together so we can then blow air through that. So we'll take that out. I'll save the bag so this way I can hang it back up later where I found it originally. And now this has exactly what you need for each end. Screw that in, just like that. Just tight enough, it's fine. And over here, the air, tighten that up. That's fine right there. Good enough for government work, as the saying goes. And now we're ready to blow air. Other end of the hose, you could have your nozzle on there if you want. Make sure you take your nozzle off when you're all done. Keep that in the house, in a shed or a garage or something. Don't leave it out in the elements, because that's often how those break as well. So now we're going to go ahead and blow this out. This hose goes, it's connected to another hose that goes into the backyard. It's hooked to all of that and then blows everything out in one shot. Not the best way to do it, but it will get the job done. Remember, the goal is to get as much water as possible, but you can't get everything. So here's the other end of that hose, and we're now going to administer air and blow everything out. This hose is going to whip around wildly, so have somebody hold it and hold it good, because this gets to be like a fireman's hose where it just whips around crazy. put a brick on it if you're alone, something to hold it down. So here we go. And there we go. Now you see there's still quite a bit. This is what goes on. Make believe this is a sprinkler line. This is what's going on. You got tons of water in there that's got to make its way out. So we're going to just let it go. I'll hit it for a second blast. We know all about that. And get as much air out as possible. And then there's one more thing that you need to blow out before your season outside is done. And I'll show you that next. 84.3333 repeating percent of pressure washer failures occurs because of failure to winterize them. You have all of the tools you need. You might as well blow it out. So here is our air admittance hose with the male-to-male adapter. They make these for people also, I understand. We're going to connect that up right over here and then hook our air in, and I'll show you what to do to get this blown out. Okay, squeeze and hold the trigger on your pressure washer. This happens to be an electric one. Gas should be about the same. Hold that trigger and make sure it is pointed way away from anyone or anything that could get damaged. Turn your air on real slow. All of that can crack your pump. So let that blow out and get all the water out of your pressure washer as well. If you're the kind of person who likes to rinse your car off in the winter and not blow out your garden hose, as much as I hate to recommend a shoddy, poor quality product, these two things here are some of those stupid pocket hoses that you've seen on TV. And if you've read any of the reviews or know anybody who's had one, they burst, they break. But chances are very good that those people were not using them properly. If you only use it maybe once every 2 weeks in the winter, hook it up, use it, be careful with it as you use it, and then drain it of water and put it away each time inside when you're done. It should last you for several seasons, and that will help you in the wintertime if you still do need water from your hose. I hope you found this video to be helpful and informative. If you did, please click the like and subscribe buttons. That lets me know I did a good job making this video and I can continue to provide them for you. Also, if you'd be so kind, please click that big thanks button below the video. Helps me out and helps the channel out. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.